Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Mad-Mouth. Great crew here. But before I go out there and talk about the crew, we had a great No Limits show with Jennifer Lee Cobb and Mel Farr Jr. We talked about Barry Melrose being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Also want to mention something out there that we stand for Israel. So I hope the conflict doesn't go any longer, but we're behind you 100%. Let the casualties be minimal. And we're praying for everyone. With that said, let me go to my crew right to left. Candy, welcome back.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be here.
And we have George Icorn.
Hi, good to be on the show again, everyone.
We can actually call us our Pundit crew because this is everybody actually in Pundit as well. And we have
Denzel with guest star Candy.
There you go. There's old Denzel. Welcome back, big guy.
Hey, always great to be here with my two fishing buddies, Uncle Scott, Uncle George, Aunt Candy, and the college guy that sleeps on the couch.
I can't afford a couch.
Don't sell yourself short, Christopher. Speaking of Jacob Christopher, the last man on our crew today. All right, let me give you an overview of what we're talking about. MLB playoffs, talk about a little NHL hockey, but we're going to have to give the first word to Mr. Denzel Snipes since he wasn't able to make it last Wednesday. We're going to let him talk about James Harden not going to the Houston Rockets because he wanted a scoring title over at Championship. What are your thoughts about James Harden placing individual accomplish over team accomplishments with, by the way, imeudoka didn't want no part of it?
Well, it's priorities at the end of the day. And it's probably with that mindset, it is likely best that he stayed away. Even though, do I foresee him coming back? Yes. He did say he wanted to end his career in Houston. I'm not a fan at all of Dylan Brooks, and you can ask Jacob Christner. But there are some people who would agree that he's a better fit for the Rockets than James Harden right now. But an attitude like that is just selfish at the end of the day. It is. Because the ultimate goal is you want to win a championship. If you get MVP, it's a bonus. If you get a scoring title, it's a bonus. You get an assist title, it's a bonus, These things happen for James Harden, like he got an assist title, he won MVP, but there was no championship that came with it. And basically that's what you see the Texans are rebuilding. You see the Astros have been winning the last 7 years. Rockets, it's on you. Even in MLS, the Dynamo won. They beat Inter Miami for the Cup just recently. So you have all these other sports teams in Houston that are winning, except for the Rockets now. The Rockets have been a rebuilding team. They've had a young team for the last few years, pretty much since James Harden's exit, okay? Now, we did go and get two veterans in free agency. Loved the Van Vliet signing, hated the Dylan Brooks signing. But the jury's out for him. Whatever. I might get him a shot. But as far as James Harden goes, it's a new look in Houston, and we obviously have been committed to moving on. So, but to answer your question on the topic, it's an attitude that's not needed in Houston. Ultimately, we want a ring. And if you can't get it to us, then you're probably better off elsewhere.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Imeudoka, to me, is a heck of a coach. He really, really is. And I think you're going to get a ring. The Rockets certainly made a good hire. And if I ever decide to go to a Rockets game, Candy and myself, I have the guy that'll get me a credential there because I work with him at the Jacksonville Jaguars. So
nice.
He took the trip down. Then I'm referring to David Wolf. All right, we'll go on to our regular topics. Actually, we're going to start with Candy because this is easy enough for her to handle. And again, she's a smart woman anyway. She can handle anything. So with that said, let's talk about the NFL's top 5 passing yards. So of these 5 people, guys, I'm going to mention who gets the most. I'm going to break them down one by one. Tuatagovailoa has 1,614. He's leader so far. Kirkcousins, 1,498. CjStroud, right in your back of the woods. Denzel, 1,461. Matthewstafford, George and I know all too well, 1,451. And Joshallen, 1,407. Candy, which one is going to get the most out of this group?
The one that stays healthy the longest.
Oh.
That's honestly because let's face it, Tua, he has a history of concussions and going out. Like if he can stay healthy, he has the weapons. He has, I think, the best chance of having the most yards. But the big question is will he stay healthy enough?
Agreed.
So you're not going on a limb, Candy? Come on.
Am I going to go out on a limb? No, because I think honestly, if Tua stays healthy, I really think he has the best chance. I also think it will depend on if the running backs for those teams stay healthy, because if they don't, then they all become passing quarterbacks that have to pass all the time. But I'm going to go with Tua. Yeah, he's had the most. I think he has because he has more of the weapons. I think he has the more opportunity as long as, like I said, as he stays healthy and as long as the running backs stay healthy to make it a more balanced game.
Okay, George.
Well, yeah, I mean, Miami is racking up so many points right now. It's hard to go against him, but Candy brings up a good point as far as the health goes. And the other time, besides not having a good running game, the other time there's a lot of pressure to throw the ball as if you're losing or you fall behind a lot, which a lot of these teams that Scott just mentioned, the quarterbacks, a lot of obviously the better teams aren't going to fall behind that much. But I was going to say Tua, but I'm going to go with Allen. Josh Allen is in that list, right, Scott?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I still like the Bills. I know that they're not humming on all cylinders yet, but they are a very good team, very well coached team, and I admire him as a quarterback. So I'm just going to end it there by saying Josh Allen for me.
All right, Denzel.
Well, okay, there's the guy that I'm rooting for and the guy I think's going to get it. The guy I'm rooting for, of course, is CJ
Right.
I think he has shocked a lot of people. People didn't expect him to be this good this fast. They didn't expect the Texans to be this good this fast. CJ Stroud has as good a shot as any. If he doesn't win the passing title, he's my vote for Offensive Rookie of the Year, if not that guy out in the LA Rams that's catching everything right now. Now, who do I think is going to win it? The guy with the gold medalist track team disguised as a football team in the Miami Dolphins. That would be Tuatagovailoa. When you have a Jaden Waddle, when you have a Tyreek Hill, when you have lethal running backs who can catch the ball and do the same thing those previous two guys did, you're looking at a potential 5,000 passes. The passing title this year is going to be a race to 5,000. Whoever hits 5,000 first, they're going to do it.
Race to 6,000.
Agreed.
6.
Not that high.
It's getting close. It's getting close. Boy, they're
All right.
getting close.
Well, if it's getting close, then who's your pick?
You want to say Tua, but you don't know if he's going to get concussed or not.
Oh, where'd he go?
Well,
The invisible Jacob, please rejoin.
it's a night that the lights went out in Georgia. Oh, that's
I guess he said Tua. That was it. That was enough, right?
Either that or he's mad because the Braves lost.
Ooh,
oh, well.
Ooh.
I think something went
When
out
the
here.
abracadabra Alakazam reappears, and I'm sure there's more of an extended
Maybe
answer.
he was upset because Justin Fields wasn't on the list, because Justin Fields has been throwing and throwing and throwing because they don't have anything else to do.
He has.
Ooh.
And you know what? To Candy's point, whenever you can't run the ball, you essentially turn into a one-dimensional team. Now, here's where that works against teams: is when you become one-dimensional, they know you're going to throw the ball. If you run into an elite secondary, you're not throwing anything but interceptions,
Right.
you know, and pass defenses. Look back to the 2020 season when Dak Prescott got injured. His run game, I think Zeke was actually injured that year. And if he doesn't get that ankle injury, he probably wins the passing title. He was going for like 350, 400 yards a game prior to the injury, you know, but that's what essentially happened, to Candy's point. The running game was taken away. Dak was forced to throw the ball. Oh, and then also to a point, or to George's point, same thing. When these teams fall behind by 2-3 touchdowns early, you're forced to throw to catch up.
Yep.
All right. Now, what I was at is there's going to be, as I said, you want to say Tua. Josh Allen, like George said, is a huge one just because he is so healthy all the time, even with it. But I will say this, the wild card in this because of Cup and Nakua is Matt Stafford.
Mm.
If that's the thing, the guy throws 78 passes a game. So but I'm saying, and he plays through so many injuries that he will limp through a whole game. And he'll be back the next week. He lives his life on the questionable list on the injuries. Then by 11:30, he's healthy again. That's the way he does. But he is a wild card with it just because of those two. He plays through more than Tua does, so you can never tell. But if Tua goes all 17, he's winning it. It's just because of all of those guys. And the thing is, you can just never tell. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a great thing. But when I say 6,000, George, it's getting close. If not this year, it's getting close. Just because they're just throwing so much.
Well, I'll tell you what. Conventional wisdom would tell me Matthew Stafford, because like you mentioned, Jacob, the guy who plays through a lot of injuries. I just need to see Tua get through an entire year playing every single game before I can be convinced that the guy's going to win a passing title. I just do. Yeah. And I've never seen a quarterback play through more injuries than Matthew Stafford. So,
well, that's why I wouldn't take Stafford. Yeah.
Well, I get that. I'm just saying it's a wild card. Just because he is the last of our warriors that we remember. The guy that plays through so much.
Yeah, and that's why I won't take Tua, because I'm still waiting to see him complete a season first.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what makes this a very interesting topic. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Basil.
Well, and to your point, because if we're talking injuries here, okay, and staying healthy, Cooper Kupp, you can make the same argument for him also. Because him injured would prevent Stafford from winning the passing title as well.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, bear in mind, we just got done doing a show on Parkinson's disease and head trauma. And once upon a time, a year ago, Tua was out there and getting hammered, this guy. You talk about a guy who took a beating and played with concussions. I mean, I need to see him play 17 games. And I haven't seen it yet. And Matthew Stafford, to me, he's a warrior. So I'll go ahead and say Stafford to complete the question, and we can go from there. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's talk about baseball. American League East teams went 0-7 in the 2023 MLB postseason. Toronto, Tampa, and Baltimore were all swept. Candy, this isn't supposed to happen in that division, is it?
No, but that's why they play the series, because you never know who's going to beat. Let's face it. The Brewers weren't supposed to get knocked out by the Arizona Diamondbacks. And Scott, I'm going to put a stat out there because I know you had this on your baseball show, is that every team that's beat the Milwaukee Brewers going back years has made it to the World Series. Every single team that has knocked the Brewers out of the playoffs has made the World Series. So with that, the Diamondbacks just started their game 3. They're already up 2-0. It's 0-0 in this game, top of 3. But that's why you play the game, because you never know. All these teams that were great regular season teams, it's not necessarily transposing into great playoff games.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the American League East has lost 11 straight. I think the Yankees lost, I believe, 3 to the Astros last year. And I'm trying to remember where the other one comes in. But they haven't had a whole lot of luck in the postseason. And I'll tell you, it's not looking for a division like that obviously spends a lot more money than most of them. All right, George.
Well, this the theory that I subscribe to on this, guys, is the one that says you're fiercely battling each other. You're fierce in the division race. You're trying to outduel each other during the regular season, and you're beating each other up so much that you're not really ready for the postseason, because you're kind of taking a deep sigh. Oh, thank God that race is done. We won the division. In Baltimore's case, they had more of a little bit of a cushion. But all that being said, and then you can make the argument, which I'm sure Jacob will make, that, well, they don't play that many games against each other in the division anymore. That's true. But my theory is that, yeah, they're just knocking each other. They're trying their best. They want to make that postseason so bad that obviously there's some sort of focus problem. I don't know what it is, but that's an amazing stat that you mentioned, Scott. If it goes back not only this year, like you said, 0-7, 0-7, or 0-5, but the last 11, you said, that's atrocious for the AL East, because we know it's one of the toughest divisions, if not the toughest division in baseball. So I don't know. That's the only thing I could say is they spend so much time beating each other's eyes out and and trying to win the spot to the postseason that they can't deal with it once they get there.
Okay, we'll turn over to Jacob.
We talked about this on Confidential, Denzel and I did. One of the things that we have also with something like this is there are quite a few of these that are out that were what we call the nerd teams, the analytics. They were the nerds, and they were, and they were going to do all this. It's like, what do? We take them out in the fourth inning, and we have 7 pitchers, that kind of goofiness that you see in this now. See, Billy Beane said it himself. Analytics gets you through to 162. The rest is luck. And it's like, and the rest is luck. And it's like, when you get luck, you need a Dustybaker, LaRussa, who's got some titles. You know what I'm saying? You need the old dogs, the ones that are not afraid to use their gut. It's like you got to realize when the Cubs won that, Joemaddon he's basically using his gut for that one where he takes him out and he puts David Ross in with John Lester. That was a very big gut move because Hendricks was having a good game. And he does a big gut move, and it passed because Ross hits the home run, it keeps it going, and then they tied instead of winning it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like those are the things. Those are the little things you do. It's those are the things that's why I don't like analytics, especially with football. And you do 3rd and 1, and you're doing a jet sweep 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage instead of the Ditka. You know what I mean? It's like analytics are fun for TV. They're fun for producers to talk about and Stephen A. Smith to blabber about, whatever. But in the end, you just need to use your use analytics on certain things in life. But in certain things, common sense just works. And it makes the Dusty Bakers look smart when it's kind of idiocracy and it's just common sense.
Well,
it's just like, let the guy go out for the 8th when he has a 1-hitter. That's not necessarily brains. That's just common sense. He has 72 pitches. You can let him go out.
Well, you talk about the Cubs, so. And I like the example you brought about Joemaddon. Remember, they had arddischapman. They didn't care about analytics. You know what they cared? That we got a rental. We're going to wear him right to the ground and win a championship. He wants to go. There goes the curse. So arddischapman. I mean, that was brilliant by Joemaddon. Hey, you know what? We got a rental. Let's just go out there and take that rental and run it 150 miles to the ground until we get a world championship, and it worked.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, but these are the little things like you need to use. One of the things that happens with analytics is we do it too much. We do it like in football. We do it in basketball with the 3-pointers and blah, blah, blah. We talked about this. You need to use it in specific moments, but you can't get rid of it now because it's just part of the world, but you also can't get rid of the old style either because those win. You need to have a common sense level of when to use what.
Yeah.
I hate to say this because I know that we're talking about MLB, but Mariocristobal could have used common sense Saturday night with the Canes game and taken a knee.
Hey, he was using analytics.
Yeah.
Wait, and Jacob, what did I say on Confidential? Analytics will get you fired.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he was using analytics. Here, run the ball when you could have kneeled it. It's like analytics says so.
Well.
Bye-bye. 1-0 Diamondbacks.
Candy picked her opportunity the one time she's on she actually she's on the
When you guys saw him doing that, were you going, what is he doing?
Yes.
I'm sitting up in the press box and I'm looking at this guy. I'm thinking, what is going on? And I had a very Uncle Scott moment on this night that made it to my book, by the way. I didn't ask Cristobal a question, and I didn't ask any of the players a question. I had a Scott out that night, didn't ask anything. I did. And you know what? I put it in my book. So, Denzel, you get the last word, then we're going to talk about some company business. Go ahead.
And to your point, Jacob, I don't know if you all recall, after Russell Wilson threw the goal line interception at the end of the Super Bowl, what was Chris Collinsworth's call? He said, "I'm sorry, but I can't believe the call."
Right.
I can't believe the call.
Well, I'll give you another. When Devin Hester had 2 against Denver, the 2 touchdowns against Denver in the thing, and there's Dan Deerdorf. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Why do you keep kicking to this?
Why do you keep kicking to him right down the middle? I don't get it. And it's like, and there were people thinking it's Dan Deerdorf hating on Devin Hester just because. No, it was, you're an idiot.
Yeah, why do you kick to the dude that's going to burn you? But no, to the topic, and I've mentioned this several times on several platforms. It's crazy how the AL East sent 3 teams to the playoffs, and none of them were the perennial division heavyweights in the Red Sox or the Yankees. With that being said, what I see happening, especially in the case of the Yankees, right? Because the 2010s was the only decade that the Yankees did not have a World Series appearance. They haven't had a World Series appearance since 2009.
Right.
And I think it's less that the Yankees fell off. And Jesus Christ, did he just go deep again? Yes, he did. Back-to-back homers. 2-0 Diamondbacks. So with that being said, I think it's less that the Yankees fell off and more that the rest of the division, and namely the league, has caught up to the Yankees,
That's a good point.
Well, the Yankees are becoming the Chicago Bears very, very fast, almost like the 85. They really are, where we're going back to history. We're going only the Yankees win more because they'll get their ALCSs once in a while. But I'm saying they go back to history, the pinstripes. You got to remember, you still have to shave and you still have to do all that stuff to get into a Yankee uniform. It's still the old school 30s. Right. And everything like that. Meanwhile, all these teams that you have no of those rules are kicking the crap out of them.
Yeah, they are, and I don't know. It's kind of like how for the longest time, police officers always had to shave. Now you see them with beards and goatees and everything.
Yeah.
You got to switch it up. You got to become more modernized. And it sounds minuscule, but, I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the issue. Because you talk about tradition with the Yankees and everything. But, I mean, shoot, if we're talking about a winning culture and we're a city, we're a ball club that values World Series championships.
Yep.
You hadn't seen Jack since 2009. So what's going to happen? Because you can fire who you want coming in and out that door. You can release players. You can sign players. You can spend $1 billion in payroll. Doesn't mean squat if you don't bring that trophy home.
Right.
Well, the only thing I'll say about the whole thing is I was in Tampa in April when the Rays had that 13-game winning streak, and I never believed for 1 minute they were ever going to make it to the World Series. They beat up on a very soft schedule, and then when reality sunk in, they ended up finishing second in the division. Not that it did them any good because they're out early anyhow. So it's a division certainly which has a lot of heavy hitters, but it just shows you that the rest of the league is catching up. And I don't know how long it's going to take for the Yankees to be relevant. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, let's face the reality. I was reading today that Hal Steinbrenner, who's the more low-key Steinbrenner of the group, is talking about some changes, and he don't make a lot of changes like his dad did, but he's really thinking we got to have some organizational meetings to be accountable for what we're doing. So I'm curious to see how
that should be happening all the time, though. Those kind of meetings and those kind of, I think Hal, like you said, Hal's too laid back, right?
I'll say this one last thing, and this actually to Jacob's point. You know what the Yankees' problem might be? They need an old dog. They need a Torrey back. They need a LaRussa. They need a Baker. They need an old dog who's sometimes more lucky than good. Good in the regular season, and then in the postseason, they're probably more lucky than good. But luck got them there. They need an old dog. They don't approve of Boone anymore. They need to go out there and get an old head, a grizzled old veteran that's going to get them over the hump in the postseason.
Well, let me say this, Denzel, real fast. Having the older dad that I did, remember 50 when I was born in 1928, he used to say this number one thing. You have to be good to know you're lucky.
Yeah.
You have to be. He used to say that all the time. You have to be good. Or you have to be not be good to know your luck, but you have to be good to know when the luck works for you. And it's and there are so many younger ones that hate the word luck just because it's like you just lucked into it. But you have to be good to get there. You have to be good to get there. And it's like Dusty's been good enough to get there, like you were bringing up. So it's like my dad always used to say something like that all the time. It's like you have to know when to take it.
Yeah, you do.
Well, the reality is, number one, Boone's coming back. And number two, Joe Girardi was the last guy that won a championship. Go figure. All right. But before we move on to the next topic, everybody knows the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room. One way to do it. Or send your topic idea to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter/X @Tribune South. Candy Ebling is normally behind the scenes, but she's in front of the camera today. And she's an MVP in every sense of the word.
Right.
And also, we'll talk about my new book that'll be coming out in about 2 or 3 weeks. Media book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. So we should have that out, right, Candy, in about 3 weeks or so?
Yeah. Definitely. In time for the holidays.
Yeah. We're looking at about a 15 chapter setup here, so it's going to be a very comprehensive book, but I'm looking forward to getting it out there, and we'll give you more information there. So with that said, let's talk about hockey. American hockey is on the rise. Get this. 208 American NHL players are appearing in opening night rosters. All right, Candy, I know that Wisconsin produces a lot of these guys, and Minnesota. Well, let's face reality. Hockey isn't a Canadian sport as much as it used to be. And, let's face it, good hockey history out in your neck of the woods.
Because Wisconsin is a cold state, and everybody knows that. The ice.
It's Southern Canada.
Southern, yeah. But kids can start playing hockey at a young age outside in the winter times. So that's where the northern states get a little edge, I would say. Your North Dakotas. After all, what else is there to do in North Dakota in the winter besides hockey? I mean, it's big up north. So am I surprised?
No. My man Devon. All right. That's one of my guys.
All right. Well, Devon, thank you very much. We appreciate the love there. Thank you, partner.
Am I surprised that all of a sudden there's more U.S. men playing in the NHL? No, I'm not. I think it's gained in its popularity. I don't know exactly why. I can't put my finger on it, but it is more and more people are interested in it. Maybe because they're getting more TV rights and it's been on more regular, it's not always on just all these paid streaming. Like, there's more games, obviously, for NHL than there is like NFL. And nobody's going to compete with NFL because NFL is so popular. But for those people that want to view more sports, especially in the downtime of the winter, when you're talking people that live up north, it's gaining popularity. And I think that's part of it. It's a fast-paced game. It moves. And I think that has a lot to do with it, too. That's why MLB is trying to speed up the game. Because it needs to be more fast-paced because the fast-paced games are gaining more popularity.
Good points all the way around, Candy. All right, George.
Yeah, the Red Wings final roster includes 9 guys from the US of A, which I'm very proud of, led by, of course, their captain, Dylanlarkin, who hails from Waterford, Michigan, not far from where, of course, Scott and I grew up. And I tell you what, he is quite a leader. And Candy, you nailed it. I mean, there's more kids playing hockey now There's more exposure to the sport now than there ever was. We're getting a good ratings, I'm trying to say, for a lot of the television games, more so than we used to. The other thing too that I think really helps is the fact that, say what you want about Gary Bettman, but he has expanded the game into the southern markets in the United States, and also the outdoor games are just going over like gangbusters, guys. Let's face it. The outdoor games are just really packing people into the stadiums that they use. Of course, we had the huge crowd at Ann Arbor for the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs on New Year's Day many years ago, despite a snowstorm. So there's a lot more exposure, and there's a lot more awareness, let's say, of hockey as a sport. And let's also face the fact that, like I said, there's more opportunities now. There's more teams in the league. The minor leagues seem to be going pretty strong. I don't hear such things as consolidation. Detroit's got a real strong team in Grand Rapids, and other teams have strong farm systems too. And I think that helps too. So I think it's a lot of factors that have gone into this, but I'm glad to hear that there's, so many Americans that are playing and making their careers in the NHL.
Okay, Jacob.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you exactly what's going. It's going to get even bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'll tell you why. The kid from British Columbia is in Chicago. Connorbedard. He's going to be this era's Gretzky. I believe it. I'm not saying by skill, because he's going to be really good, but I'm talking about it's going to make that popularity much, especially when you're in a big area, a big market like Chicago, and you get this, and it's like. He is going to bring a lot of fans because he is exciting to watch. He's fun to watch. And it's like, and mind you, you had all the other places before. Here's just the truth. You had Sidney Crosby, but Pittsburgh, which that's very tribal. I'm going to call it tribal because you're in your area, you're in your things within your area, Ohio, Pittsburgh, that sort. You get Ovechkin, but that's Washington. You get those areas, and it's like, and Gretzky back in the day was Edmonton, but remember, that was the day anyway. This is a big-time player who's 18 years old, very exciting to watch in a very big market like Chicago. This is going to make it, and if he gets a 40, 50 goal year as that rookie, as that everything, he's going to shoot to the moon, especially with all the endorsements and everything. So he's going to build hockey even more, and it's going to help. It's going to help all the media. It's going to help for all the media rights. It's going to help everything. So, there's going to be more Americans because more kids are going to watch. I played hockey 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I played just for when I was a kid. Nothing exciting, but I love it. I won't play it anymore, but I miss it. It's a fun game. And there's going to be, with him around, there's going to be a lot more kids wanting to play it, whether it's roller hockey or whatever.
Okay, Denzel.
Man, being 18 years old in a big league like that is always great, but there's one thing that I'm afraid of for him, and that is the fans and the media. Because let's face it, they can be ruthless. They don't care how old you are. A big market like Chicago, they can be pretty brutal. Imagine if he was in New York. Me personally, I wouldn't want him in somewhere like that.
True.
I would rather him in a Tampa or a Dallas Stars or
so would they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing, and that's not sitting here saying that he won't be good. I hope he's a success.
Yeah.
It's just that I'll put it to you like this. You remember when I brought up when the trade happened to send CC Sabathia to the Yankees? Yeah. His first start, he bombed. You know what the New York Post read the next day? Thanks for nothing. It was like they already gave up on him. This is why we keep saying New Yorkers can be bandwagoners, but that's another story. Anyway, with that being said, I wish him all the success. I do, I'm just afraid for him because he's in that market.
Yeah.
And I get it. There's tradition and history, and when you are a pro, more is expected of you. But he's a kid still. He's 18 years old.
You're correct, but it's like I really believe that's why they had it in the first place, because they're trying to expand everything to get hockey popular. And that's the big thing. It's like, I don't think it becomes that popular as much as I would love. I'm with you with it and be able to go to a Tampa or Dallas or something. I'd love that thing. It doesn't have the impact that Chicago does. And that's exactly, see, but you got to realize why in the world, we're going to just say a football reference for a second. Why is Anthony Richardson in the league when he did not belong, when he was terrible at Florida? It's because it is business. Yeah. He is the dynamic. He is all that kind of stuff like that. And, he can make plays and he excites kids. And the kids go to the games, which they never did before. They put on his jersey. That's exactly what that's about. This is what all of this stuff is about. They may not be ready, but they're going to force you anyway.
I know a quarterback for the Chicago Bears right now.
I do too.
Who fits that mold? Y'all might have to jog my memory. I did a lot of shows tonight. But yeah, that sounds real familiar.
Well, I completely agree.
well, let me add this here. First of all, New York's a tough act to play in. Boston isn't much easier. Montreal and Toronto. So when you talk about original 6 teams in the Midwest, and if you end up talking about Detroit and Chicago, will be an easier landing spot compared to the other 4 I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. Number 2, once upon a time, there was the 1980 Olympics that Mr. Eichhorn attended when the U.S. won the gold medal. I don't know how much of a spike there was in terms of growth there.
Yeah.
But now collegiate hockey is being more emphasized. And I won't get into the list of all the programs that have been a big part of it. Yeah. And of course, like you guys have mentioned, expanding into the warm climates. So I like what Bedard's all about. And if you land in the right spot where there's a lot of history, think about it. The guy forgot his stick, and he's probably going to get fined because he forgot his helmet. If that is an excitement, I don't know really what is.
But it's what you would expect of an 18-year-old.
Let's also remember that how many years ago the whole CTE really came up in football, and parents have decided football is too tough for my kids to be playing. There's too likely to be head injuries, the tackling and everything like that. Maybe hockey, granted, you do hit each other, but it's not the same tackling that maybe some of those parents influenced kids to, instead of playing football, do more hockey.
Well, you got to remember high sticking and stuff like that. Like, unlike the 90s and stuff like that, the high sticking, it had to be a legit high stick to get it. Now you lift it up halfway through the torso and it's a high stick. So, and then hitting, you can't board it anymore. They'll call you boarding many different ways. It's a different game now.
Well, remember this. Let me this out. I don't know where it is on my bookshelf, but many years ago, I bought a book called Blood on the Ice, and you wouldn't find that in this day and age. That's for sure. I mean, not to the level that George and I watched hockey.
No, you wouldn't.
80s. That was
and one other thing I was going to mention too, guys, and that right here in my own backyard, Plymouth, Michigan, we have the United States Development Program. So this is a full-time, full-year operation where these kids are 16, 17, 18 years old that are practicing here in Plymouth, Michigan, which it used to be in Ann Arbor. It used to be right near the campus of the Michigan Wolverines, but now it's been moved to, as Scott knows and Candy, there's a beautiful arena in Plymouth that Mr. Carmanos put together from a computer company that he owned. But anyways, he was the former owner. And that is another thing that I forgot to mention, the development program of these young boys in the high school and in college, coming, a lot of them right through Michigan here with the USA development team. So that helps a lot too.
Well, I'm still a firm believer, and I'll never back off of this, whether people agree or disagree, is I don't think Wayne Gretzky wouldn't have gotten half as many points when we played, George, when there were only 6 and 12 teams compared to the league being at 30. And in fact, I'll even take my case a little bit further. The Montreal Canadiens haven't won a title, I think, since 1993.
1993. They were the last Canadian team to win it all.
And Toronto since 67.
Right. And Jacques Demers, the former Red Wing coach, was the one that led them. So, to our friends north of the border here, This is some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think Wayne Gretzky could have handled all those Gordie Howe hat tricks where he'd have gotten busted up. Go ahead, Denzel. I'm going to put your man Curry up here as well so you can respond to that.
Certain markets, bigger markets are hard to succeed in because they live in a moment. Exactly. Smaller market players have a chance to develop without much pressure. Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hence, going to say if Tennessee had an expansion team versus the New York Rangers,
Yeah.
But I did want to address some things that Candy said real fast. As far as the kids playing football and everything. Now, to your point, yes, having your kid play hockey can be, an alternate. Now, here's where things start to even out. Once they grow up and actually make the pros. Now, granted, they're grown, but guess what they can also do in the pros? They can throw hands. Also, just because they are not taking as many hits as NFL players, and let everybody at home watching know this, hockey still has its hazards that can be deadly. Question for the panel. Are you familiar with the name Clint Malerchuk?
Absolutely, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
George, you know who I'm talking about?
The ice. It's the ice skate went up into his throat and ended up
and it cut his jugular. Yeah, he actually he skated off the ice on his own power because he thought he was going to die and he didn't want his mother watching. It actually took a former Army medic who was a trainer for the team to reach in there, pinch the jugular vein, and hold it until the medics arrived and it saved his life. But now, I know that's only happened like once in history, but still the hazard is there. Ice hockey blades are very sharp, So, and at the end of the day, it's impact sports, but it's got its hazards. So I guess what I'm saying is you kind of got to pick and choose. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. just the whole thing now. Look at all sports, okay? Like even softball, you look at the pit, like the women's softball, you see the little cages around their hats, like for the pitchers, so they don't get hit with the ball. Right. You get hockey now. Most of them are starting to put the face. The thing, I did the face cage for myself when I played and stuff like that, because I just got faced with braces. You don't want to lose your teeth, and you did that, but you see a few of that. It's like you see those, and especially you do see them in the women's hockey too. There are everything now, like I said with sports, it's run by lawyers and agents. Everything, it's like you're not allowed. Like we said, this is the last of. We said about earlier with Matt Stafford. It's the last of the Warriors. He is a warrior. It's the last of the Warriors because the agents and the lawyers won't let you. They will not let you with that thing anymore. It's like, remember, there's so many rules with football even now. It's like if they bring a doctor onto the field and you just don't answer for like 2 seconds, you're off the thing, even if you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like so many different things now. So it's like people are saying that. That's why they're trying to save football before it needs saving.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't need saving yet. But boy, wait until, because it's like that's why they put that game on with the Andy's room with the Toy Story. So it's like, then you can do little things. If there's injuries, you can do the things with the dog and the Woody and whatever, and you don't have to show the injury.
Yeah,
it's little things like that. It's like they're trying to save it for the kids.
Well, nevertheless, all I can tell you with a 208 American NHL players, that number of figures will continue to grow up, especially if these collegiate programs are developing prospects at a high level. I can only imagine what the number will be like a year from now when we readdress the subject. All right.
Yeah.
Here's actually a subject that actually belongs on pundit, but here's an idea.
That'll be another day.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, no, I'm not worried about tomorrow's show, but this is just blows me away. So in MLS news, Lionel Messi has been nominated for an MLS MVP after 4 appearances for Miami. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. I can count that high. Andy, this organization to me, we've dealt with them a while, but where does this rank amongst some of the most interesting things that they've tried to do? I can't figure this organization out.
So, what does MVP stand for?
Most valuable.
So, who who on any of the MLS teams made the biggest impact on their team by being, and I get it. Four games is not really a good sample size, but he made the biggest impact because he brought other players with him. The team improved dramatically when he's in there. Does he deserve MVP for 4 games? That's tough, but he did make the biggest impact of any other player.
Well, he brought players and he made them a lot of money. I guess in the eyes of everybody else, they're probably going to look at that, but it's just weird. 4 games and an MVP. Money, I get it. Exposure, I get it. All right, George.
No, I there's got to be a minimum amount of games you play to receive an award or be considered for an award such as that. Just like the batting champion in the American National League, they got to have so many plate appearances or at bats. And there's a lot of traditional awards that are based on that. But if you want to call him, some sort of other award or create some other award that most impact on our sport this year, whatever you want to call it, I could buy that. But no, I can't buy an MVP because the sampling size is too small, and there should be a minimum of appearances or games that you played in order to qualify for something like that.
And I realized they were playing some of those other tournaments outside of the MLS schedule, but still I'm with you. All right, Jacob.
I think it's absolute media. I think it's a media thing to try to get you're working it with the media to get the MLS out there. And who else can you do it with? Messi. Is there anybody else? I believe that this is what it is. Because 4 games is not enough to say that. He did make an impact in those games. Don't get that wrong. But you got to remember, he went to Atlanta. He did not go there. He did not play, and they completely filled the stadium anyway. To be able to, because they wanted to see him. And then I think he did for another game too. But so there's the impact. But what's the issue? You know what I mean? What is the issue that we see? It's just the fact that you don't have enough true stars. You will soon because of this. You'll see a Mbappe. You'll see, you might even see a Ronaldo if they figure out. Because really, right now, Ronaldo playing in the Saudi, like we were talking about. Him playing there, it's all cash. Where this is this contract by Messi right now is going to make him more money long term because it's business. It's maybe having partial ownership. Well, once Ronaldo notices that, he'll be here, and that's the whole point of all of this. Is just that. But who else are you going to put when you're trying to get MVP and get the media knowing you? You get the guy who got the impact. So I think it's just the media deal to get people's attention.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Denzel.
Anyone who thinks that 100% he should get MVP right now after 4 games need to keep that same energy and give CJStroud MVP right now.
Oh, we'll do it. I'll do it.
That's not enough. That's not enough. And you know what? This is the very reason why we keep on begging the NBA to take all-star voting away from the fans and give it back to folks who actually know what they're doing. I get the money and I get his skills, but it's also a popularity contest. That's what this is boiling down to.
Yeah,
he's the most recognizable name in MLS right now. Yes. And to some people up there, that somehow correlates with MVP. So, no, I'm not sitting here saying that he won't win it. He very well may be. But I'm not ready to hand the guy the award right now.
No. I'm just saying I'm completely agreeing with you. But again, that's where I bring it up with the media and popularity. They're just trying – because MLS is so – this is the first year where they really have a footprint, as far as the media footprint and everything, and they're trying to keep it. Yeah. So if they just do not have the same amount of stars like the Premier League does. They just do not have it that the La Liga does, that Bundesliga has, like Germany. They don't have those stars. So they're trying to get it out there while they can. They will, because Messi started it, but right now they just don't. So they've got to get the name somehow.
Well, they're doing that. If they're looking for publicity, they have all of those people in the media more than willing to give it to them. including myself, because I brought this topic in front of you people. So I definitely drank the messy Kool-Aid here about the MVP, didn't I? I mean, we're talking load management. How many times have we given the NBA a hard time with load management? And now they would have to play 65 games to get an award before whatever they want. But
I mean, Scott, like if somebody got awarded NBA Most Valuable Player and all they played in was as many games as Zion Wilson, you would go through the roof.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
That's true. And if there's ever a kid with Zion Williamson who right now is trying to avoid the word bust, it's him, because this guy, like we mentioned about Tua, needs to stay healthy so that they're able to maintain their high draft position without being irrelevant. So,
yeah.
So, anybody else any closing thoughts, Candy? I know we've talked about, we've dealt with Inter Miami. Shrewd business people. I think they're only going to be playing in Fort Lauderdale one more year before Pioneer Park in Miami opens up at 25, right, Candy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? From the insane to the more insane, according to Boardroom, Al Michaels earns $1 million for one night for Amazon Prime. Brock Purdy gets $870K this season. My goodness, of course. The 49ers got him cheap, and Al Michaels is making a pretty good living as he approaches 80. All right, Candy, some thoughts about this financial differentiality.
Let's face it, Purdy's in on a rookie contract. You know that they don't get paid the same. Do the media determine should they get that paid that much? The thing is the market's out there. That's what they're paying. That's what he's demanding. That's what they're paying other broadcasters. It's entertainment. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. So, is it right? No, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. I mean, you look at some of these actors that are getting paid many millions of dollars for how many episodes, an episode to sit, to act half an hour show. So is it right? No. But it's the way that the market's going. I mean, Amazon's trying to get in the market with being, top dollar. It's the way of the world. Money drives things, and money is driving the ratings and driving to get him.
Yep.
Yeah, great comment by Devon Curry. Brock Purdy still lives in an apartment with his roommate. Yeah.
Well, it's San Francisco, so yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, George.
Well, I tell you what, I've been a big fan of Al Michaels, but personally speaking, I think he's lost a little bit of it, and but like Candy said, I mean that's the contract these guys get. All your top announcing teams are getting that kind of money, I'm sure, play-by-play or color analysis. But I like I said, I think he's dropped, and but the contrast though is a good one. I mean, here you got the star quarterback for the 49ers who came out of nowhere, making less than Al Michaels, who sits there in a booth for one night a week. Oh my gosh. And that's one game, you said, Scott. One game for Michaels. Yeah. Unbelievable. But again, like Candy was saying, that's the entertainment aspect of it. That's, you got one guy's a crafty veteran, call him. Al's been, doing this stuff for 50 years or 40 years, whatever he's been behind the microphone. So, yeah, he's going to be way up there as far as what he can garner, just like Jim Nantz and Joe Buck and guys like that are the lead play-by-play. Mike Tirico, I'm sure he's making a lot of dough. But, yeah, that contract that Brock Purdy signs next time is going to be humongous. It really will be. And he deserves it if he can continue what he's doing.
All right, Jacob.
But before I go on to my point about Brock Purdy, Al Michaels is 80, admits he never ate a vegetable in his life. He just made every regular guy happy in the whole wide world. Just show how much of a chance they have to live that long. But here's the thing with Brock Purdy. You want to know who's really, really irritated with Brock Purdy becoming a star right now? television. They didn't have him on their list. He's Mr. Irrelevant. He's just the dorky guy. He was the Mr. Irrelevant. He was everything. He looks like a kid. He doesn't look like what you can market, but he's become so good. And it's not in their marketing strategy to have someone like that. It isn't. And they're mad. And then you get this, because guess what? They want a Herbert, a Justin Herbert, with a nice little long hair, and he kind of looks a little bit like the throwback from the 70s, a little bit kind of cool, kind of whatever. They wanted to be Justin Fields. They wanted to be They wanted to be Jimmy Garoppolo, even though it's not going to be. They wanted to be because he looks like Hollywood. Yep. He looks like it. They wanted to be Anthony Richardson. They have a specific look and a feel. Brock Purdy isn't it. He's a kid-looking thing. But they're mad, but he's that good. And that's the big thing. And he's going to get his contract, and there's where the deal is. But the biggest thing about this is football needs these kind of things in the first place. It doesn't need the quote unquote Vince McMahon to tell you who the equivalent to tell you who your star is going to be. Sometimes it needs someone kicking it out of there to Stone Cold Steve Austin, who sometimes was not supposed to be.
It's the fans who tell you who's the star also.
Yes.
Just like wrestling.
Yeah, but it's like wrestling. And it's like they're telling you Brock Purdy is right now. They really are. And it's like, and the fans told you Stone Cold. Well, that's the point I'm saying. Sometimes you just need that. You don't need TV telling you everything. You just need to let it organically grow.
True.
Okay, Denzel.
A couple points as to why Al Michaels is getting that kind of money for one game. Is it fair to say that Al Michaels started his broadcast career before Brock Purdy's parents were even born?
Probably.
There's point number one. Point number two, Al Michaels, and it's not just his longevity, he's called some classic games. He's been there for classic moments in his career. Lake Placid, 1980. George, you were there.
Yeah.
He called that game for the United States versus USSR. The game 3 of the 1989 World Series, the earthquake game. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. He was calling that game as well. He's been there for some, and he's called I don't know how many Super Bowls. Y'all, this is why he's getting that kind of money. This is why he's getting that kind of money. Now, I also get it too. Longevity announcer versus guy who looks like he's 12 years old and he's in like year 2 or 3 playing football. We're talking about different countries. But see, make no mistake about it though, okay? Brock Purdy will get his money. He'll get paid. He may not be a top 5 paid, but he'll be a top 10 paid. The 49ers are going to pay him handsomely. I have no doubt about that, okay?
And,
as far as
he'll be able to get out of the apartment too.
Yeah, and he'll be finally out of the apartment. Yeah. I mean, because his salary, he's on a rookie contract. I think he gets extended in the offseason as well. It will all even together. It will iron out, But as far as Al Michaels goes, he's getting that money because he's Al Michaels.
Well, Al Michaels also, before we go to the thing about this also, the reason he's lost it, George, he's bored. A lot of those Thursday games are terrible.
Yeah, I know.
That Bears and Commanders game was shockingly good, and he was shocked. But just like all the things that were going on, but there's a lot of awful Thursday night games, and he looks like he's going through the motions.
Well, that could be, but I still hold him in high esteem, obviously, for the Miracle on Ice and his famous call. And but yeah, he's earned his reputation, and he's getting his due respect.
Yeah, well, I think the interesting thing about the topic though is when you look at the money right now, it just blows me away. It really does. So, one other note that we should point out, Candy, do you have any updates about Mary Lou Retton? Unfortunately,
I was going to put that as one of my parting shots that I would ask everybody to pray for her. She is in the ICU with a very rare form of pneumonia now, fighting for her life day to day. She's 55 years old, but she brought gymnastics back on the map for women's gymnastics back in 1984. her courageous and just her outspokenness. There is actually, they even have a GoFundMe account, I believe, that they've set up because she doesn't have health insurance. So all of this is coming out of their pockets. And I believe I read a little bit earlier, it's up to $200 and some $1,000. But I can't imagine what the cost would be.
That'll be a week. That'll be a week in there at $200,000.
That'd be, I don't even think it'll take a week in ICU. So my prayers for her family and for her. Let's hope she pulls out of it, because she's my age. Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well, ironically, I was in LA in 1984 with my late cousin Terry, and we were in Westwood Village at a place called Santo Pietro's at the time. We watched Mary Lou Retton. She was amazing as a gymnast, and the place that by UCLA was just unreal. It was electric. So, well, I'm glad it's your parting shot, because it's one topic we want to get out there. All right. Well, with that said, now that Candy gave us hers, George, what's your parting shots?
My parting shot. Well, it's going to be the new hockey season. Hats off again. You did a nice thing with a triple header, 3 games on Tuesday night, the NHL, including the grand finale of the 3, which was the banner raising ceremony. And I tell you what, Vegas knows how to do it. Oh my God, they had a replica slot machine on the ice, and they brought up, as he pulled the big arm, yeah, and it read 3 Stanley Cups. How creative! It was just a great ceremony. What a fabulous thing for hockey to see Las Vegas win their first professional title in any sport. And what a great banner ceremony that was to watch. So I'm just happy for Vegas. Should be another good NHL season. Obviously, here in Detroit, there are some hopes that possibly the Red Wings could even contend or even make the playoffs. Would be phenomenal for the fans here. But it was, hats off again. It was really a great triple header, those 3 games. Chicago upset Pittsburgh too. How about that, with their brand new star, Connor? So it was a good day for hockey, and that's all I got to say. But it was a nice banner raising ceremony out in Vegas.
Okay, Jacob, what's your parting shot?
I'm going to go with the Mary Lou Retton thing also. One of the things also that we have to remember, Candy, is she doesn't have insurance, but here's the deal. The whole Screen Actors Guild strike, one of the things that came up with that was how many hours you need to have to be able to get insurance. Because, to be able to get medical insurance. She had a SAG card. I don't know if she does now, but she's had it for years. Was in movies, played herself, maybe, whatever. You know what I'm saying? She was on Glee. She was on those things. If you have yourself a time, this is the thing about this with the irony of all of these unions. And we're going to go do totally political, but it's like, you're supposed to be protecting these people if you are a union this badly. Jesse Ventura got his retirement and through his movies and his medical through the time of the medical with SAG. Where's hers? Why is it specific? How did he get so lucky? We already know he knew Schwarzenegger and all that. But how did it come? She didn't get so lucky. She's been on quite a bit of shows to be able to get to this thing. Why do you have to have certain hours? Especially if you've got a Screen Actors Guild card, which you have to pay about $3,500 to get started to get the card, and then pay $150 in dues a year. Why, if you going through that and go through all that thing, why isn't medical there? Why isn't medical included? Why do you have to have so many rules to get your medical insurance? And this is where she's at right now. Forget the whole idea of American medical. We can debate that all night, whatever. But if this is the whole thing, why is she struggling like that when she had a card? And why does she not have insurance now? And then now she's in this problem. And we all pray for her. We all pray for her, but we got another discussion altogether. And I might bring it up tomorrow night.
Well, if you do, reason to. Okay, Denzel, what's your parting shot?
My parting shot goes to what happened just earlier tonight. So, and let me go back to Monday. So Monday, everybody saw how the NLDS game 2 ended when the Nick Castellanos of the Phillies hit a hell of a ball to the outfield, and I thought it was gone upon impact. Well, the fielder made an amazing play and then ended up helping Austin Riley gun down Bryce Harper for the final out to make a double play. And in the locker room, Braves player Orlando Arcia mocked Harper for his blunder. Harper goes on to hit 2 home runs tonight. And as he was rounding the bases both times, he cold-bloodedly stared down Arcia. And if you can, go on Philly's Twitter. The picture is there. It'll probably be one of the best pictures you see in sports for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
so
it's Philly's Twitter. They're going to give up next. If he goes over 4 the next 2 games, they'll give up on him.
And you're probably right. But, I mean, for right now, that basically was Harper. He's saying, hey, the revenge tour just started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me tell you this. Over the weekend, I'm going to be covering a very interesting game where I'm going to have to really, really keep quiet, which is a parting shot of my own. And when I say really quiet, if you think I was quiet enough when I didn't bother to ask anybody in the Miami Hurricanes about what happened because of the kneel down, I have myself a project that involves a piece of jewelry that will still stay on my finger. Candy and I are going to be covering the FAU USF game, the first game ever between the two in the new conference alignment, the American Athletic Conference. Now, here's what we've got here. I've been covering the Florida Atlantic University football program in sports since I believe it was 2007. Great. FAU is fun, near to my heart. But now, Saturday, they're playing my alma mater, the University of South Florida Bulls. Long before the Motor City Madmouth came into play, many people looked at me as the Bull. And if you're on the wrong side of me, I was a Raging Bull. Or Candy might still think I am, depending on who I deal with in the field. So I guess the only thing I can say about Saturday's game is there's no way that I can lose. And nobody will know about it. And the ring is still not coming off. No way I can lose. So there you have it. My alma mater against FAU. Go figure. All right, Candy, take us home.
What do you want me to? So, if you have any show ideas, topic ideas, email us, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you like this show, there is a red subscribe button next to Denzel. Hit it. Like us. Share us. Tell all your friends all about us. But please subscribe. Go to our website, www.southfloridatribune. You can see George writes for us. Jacob's written for us. Scott writes for us. You can see some of my photography as I'm on the field, like I was watching that kneel down that never happened. The kneel down that never happened. I was on that field taking pictures. Was it a fumble? Wasn't it a fumble? That would be another interesting topic, I would say, for another time, is replay and how it has to be that you have to be thoroughly convinced to be able to overturn. And that's what they're saying, is that there wasn't a viewpoint that allowed them to thoroughly be convinced that he was down before he fumbled the ball. So that would be an interesting topic, I think, on a future show. But you can hear us on iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise, you want to sponsor any one of our shows, call Scott, 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube.
So what's the horns? Is it this?
Give him the horns. He's talking about USF Bulls. I
was thinking of Texas, the Longhorns, but I'm like, what is
Anthony,
it? Is it this one? Because we already know what this is.
Yeah. I know. Anthony, great comment, man. I know exactly where you're coming from. We appreciate you every opportunity to get in here. Thank you, Anthony. And since we're on and Anthony again giving us a report card, great show always. Well, you know what, man, we do these things so when we come across individuals like you, our goal is to entertain, educate, and inform, and that's what we're doing. And I'm glad that Anthony Bianchi feels the same way. All right, I should point out another thing, as I mentioned at the top of the show. And that's this. I'm writing a new book that should be out in the next few weeks called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. The whole idea is a media book means even though you haven't met anybody in person, doesn't mean you can't learn from them. And I talk about some of my all my interviews through the years. Nobody knows it better than George Eichhorn outside of what Candy's gotten in there so as well. So, all right, with that said, we're going to let everybody say how they can get a hold of them. Candy, you want to go ahead, or you feel like you said what you needed to?
You can tune in Tuesday nights to 3 Chicks in a Pod or Chicks and Salsa, girls talking sports and other topics. You'll see me on there from time to time. Otherwise, again, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. It's that red button next to Denzel.
All right, there you go.
That's not a red. It's not a red nose. You're not on a red-nosed reindeer.
Only red button I see is leave.
Yeah, speaking of books, here's a book that Jacob's never going to make.
Mine will get better.
You know, Detroit sports broadcasters. Well, that's because you're not in Michigan. But Scott made the book with Jimmy Connors and Muhammad Ali. And there's a link to purchase the book at the end of my column. As Candy mentioned, I write for the Motor City Tribune under the South Florida Tribune banner. And also you can reach me at giphone@yahoo.com and on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, at SandGSports99. And you can find me on all these great shows, Pundit, Sports Exchange, 108 Stitches, and of course, Pigskin, Inside the Pigskin. And just enjoy being part of your network, Scott and Candy. Keep up the great work.
George just recently wrote an article about the Red Wings, so go to our website, www.floridatribune.com, and read up on it, and then there's a link to his book right after the column.
All right, Jacob, before you go out there and give us your information, I want to give everybody a preview tomorrow night, Pundit's Fund at 8 o'clock Eastern Time with South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network / YouTube channel. Give us a preview of what our audience is in for.
Well, I can say this. It's like topics are going to get finished up pretty soon, but this is what you're going to get. A lot of our network is, think of this show. If you've never seen it before, you've seen it from ESPN, Outside the Lines, but we're a more advanced version, even without the production yet. We talk about a lot of things that you will see in the next years or so, but they're starting to come through now. And that's what we talk about, the little things. It's like I'm going to probably bring up Mary Lou Retton tomorrow night. Those are the little things. But we've just like the whole idea. It doesn't always have to be sports. You can bring up the whole deal about, like I brought up tonight, with the Screen Actors Guild, what happens with those. Doesn't always have to be sports, but it can be. Because everything we see with the sports goes behind the scenes. The game we see is 10% of the world. We bring up the other 90%. So that's what the Pundit does.
Well, Pundit is a magazine show, which is brilliant. I love this magazine format. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and it's like Sundays I am with Scott for the Professor and Pupil. Mondays with Denzel with the with the Sniper and the Pundit for the Top Rope Talk. We have fun with that one. Tuesdays, every couple of weeks, I am off the sideline, off of this, and do a show called The Yin and Yang. It is arts, movies, film, politics. It is a lot of that stuff. Anything but sports, since she knows nothing about it. So we bring those type of deals up, and it's kind of fun, and we have those deals. And I've told Denzel he'll be on sometime, no question. Wednesdays we do these shows, Confidential, and this one. Thursdays we do the Pundit's Pundit. And then there's a couple of shows that I'm on the bench whenever somebody needs me. And very, very soon we'll be showing off my short clips of my of my movies. So I'm building myself as I can.
Well done. All right, Denzel.
All right. Well, like you said, Monday's top rope talk with the pundit over there to my left, and also Wednesdays, myself, JJ, the crew of the Gauntlet, really, JT, Dom with the Gauntlet presents Picked Off for our NFL weekly picks. Also, confidential on Wednesdays as well. We are doing episodes covering the MLB playoffs, so please tune in. We had a great episode tonight. Please go and check that out. Also, Thursdays with the same people up here, Uncle George, Uncle Scott, and Jacob Christian for the Pundit's Pundit. So that also, and then of course on Friday, the Gauntlet as well. So please tune in to all shows. You can find me at NellyNel13, NELLI, NEL13. Also, you can find me on Twitch, Denzel Sniper 13.
All right. Well, Bo just entered the room. Bo was a real big part of inside the pigskin. Enjoy working with this guy. We have a great crew with a lot of the shows that we have, and a lot of the thing that's important is a lot of our people can move around to different shows. So, with that said, this concludes this edition of the Sports Exchange. We'll be back next Wednesday night, but please stay tuned with our programming as well as Sideline Sports, Jacob, Denzel, and the rest. So, on behalf of Candy Ebeling, George Eichhorn, Jacob Christer, and Denzel Snipes, my name is Scott Morgan, around the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. And once again, we had a great doubleheader today with Jennifer Lee Cobb and Mel Farr on No Limits. And now we're signing off here on the Sports Exchange. Good night, everybody, and get well soon, Mary Lou Retton. Good night.
Yep.